Halloween Horror Nights 33 video. There'll be a little quick introduction right here, and then there'll be a wrap up at the end shot from my hotel room. I shot some video. It is super loud in there, so before you start watching the video, I apologize. It's going to be tough to hear me in a few spots. I try to find some quiet places in there. They amped up the audio this year like crazy. It was a great event. It rained. I had a ton of fun, so please enjoy the video and then check us out at the end. The best houses, the best scare zones, the food, all of it at the end, and give you a final wrap up. So thanks for checking us out.
Weakening the veil between our worlds and yours.
And now we have emerged from the shadows to spread our hellish grasp in the place where horror lives.
Enter an unimaginable nightmare, plagued by your most disturbing thoughts.
And fueled by the cries of our tortured souls.
Venture forth and encounter the terrors that lurk beyond. They wish to inflict mental torment
And physical pain. Kings and queens of sinister trade.
and twisted fiends of surreal domain.
They are the shadows within the fog. They will strike unforgiving fear in your hearts. And now, the time for watching has arrived! This night of horror belongs to us!
Everybody, and welcome back to our channel. We are here at Halloween Horror Nights 33 2024 in Universal Orlando. It is super early in the year. It is September 5th. We've had a chance to go through 2 houses so far, so I'm going to do a quick review. I had a great video. Hopefully you caught it. And it works out okay because we're in some rain right now and there's been lightning. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but there's lightning here. It's a pretty cool effect. I'm also excited because the sun's not beating down on my head for the first 2 hours. We're going to try to shoot everything tonight, including some of the food. But I did go through the first 2 houses. The first one was that Monstros. It's like the Monsters of Latin America, and it was awesome. As I'm thinking about the house, I'm giving that house an 8. They had some really cool set pieces. There was this demonic piece with the kids at the beginning, and then you got into this old man character that reminded me of the old man of like Poltergeist 2. And then you had these giant bird creatures, and they had these really huge versions of them at the end. They looked amazing. So it was an excellent house. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And then I'll tell you at the end of the night, I'll go back and reassess it if I give it a 10 or a 9.5. But Quiet Place was awesome, and I screwed up because I thought A Quiet Place was going to be the day one A Quiet Place, and it was based on the first movie, and they did an incredible job. Like, everything in it was so spot on. As soon as you walk in, space shuttles that the little boy from the first movie has, the youngest son, and then you get this big sign for A Quiet Place. And then as you're walking through, all of the people working there are telling you to be quiet. They're not talking. Everyone in the house is quiet. The only thing you hear is the monsters in the house, and they are great. You get the boat scene, you get the scene in the barn, and the radio station, everything from the first movie, and it was so well done. I enjoyed the hell out of that house. One of my favorite houses in the last 4 or 5 years. I can't wait to hit the rest of these. I was very excited for that house, and it did not let me down. We'll go back around and shoot some scare zones, especially as it gets darker. Like I said, I'm fighting raindrops all night, so hopefully it won't be too bad. We'll have a good time, but I'll come back and talk to you in just a minute. I hope it's not too loud behind me. Ghostbusters Frozen Kingdom. That's probably the weakest house so far, and I was disappointed because I thought I was going to really like it. There were a couple of awesome set pieces. That giant frozen ghost was great. There was a couple of, like, if you look at the girl behind me screaming her head off half of the time of her life. I just thought it ended really abruptly. Again, it was good. Special effects were decent. Some really cool of the little marshmallow man, which I thought was great. So cute. It was a fun house. I'd probably say it was like a 7. I just had a little higher expectation. The house line said 20 minutes to wait, so I didn't use my express pass. I'll potentially use it again later in the night. It was 40 minutes, so one of my biggest pet peeves is when you tell me 20 and it's 40, and they did it to me on that one. So we'll come back, we're gonna hit Insidious, and we're gonna hit the triplets here next. Quiet Place house, but it is loud. I want to talk about Insidious The Further. I am not a fan of the Insidious movies. I would flat out say that. Very good house, 8.5 out of 10. If I was an Insidious fan, I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10. So well done. The giant red door when you walked in, scare zone, super long. Man, true to the movie, scary everywhere. The monsters, the old man that's in there, the old lady that's in there, like every part that's in the Insidious movies is in the house. And man, jump scares everywhere, so very, very well done. My surprise house of the night so far, I knew I was gonna like A Quiet Place, Triplets of Terror. I put it very, very low on the house I was excited to see. Cross between The Children of the Corn and Devil's Rejects in the best possible way. I liked that house very much. Good scares, good violence. The people were creepy again, man. Someone just walked out and someone said exactly what I was thinking. That reminds me of a house that Rob Zombie would have done, and if you know my love for the Devil's Rejects, you know exactly what I thought. That was a very cool house, so well done. Like that house very much. So I want to check out the jewelry store. They've done it like in the shipping container. I want to go in and see all the cool stuff that they have tonight, so I'm going to check that out right now. Alright guys, we're in our poncho. We're going to sit down in the rain and we're going to try the In the Fog fish and chips. I want to have that first. I've only eaten a sandwich today at one of the places at downtown, I forget, City Walk, because I got in a little later on my travel. So I'm going to have this. I do want to try the Stay Puft Marshmallow S'more, so I'll shoot that one for you in a second, but I won't. This is my dinner here, and then I'm going to try that s'more. But these have gotten really good reviews from everything I've seen online, so I'm looking forward to trying it. Alright guys, so those fish and chips are really, really good. Well seasoned, aioli was great. The fries were actually seasoned well, which you never have at the theme park. The fish was crispy, but it was flavorful inside, it wasn't dried out. And now we're trying the treat of the event. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man S'more, which was like everyone was excited about. I'm gonna try it in a second. I know it wasn't. I shot some video and they're over there kind of frying them up. Should be pretty neat. This is pretty fun. So excited to share that with you. I don't think I need a whole ton more tonight, but this was, one of the ones. My wife couldn't come tonight with me. She's having a great night. She's actually over at a country concert back home in Boston meeting Jordan Davis, which is like her favorite singer, so that's awesome too. But I had to send one of these. She's like, you gotta get one of these if you go. So there you go, Jeff. This is for you. All you know is just a minute. It was the stupid Stay Puft Marshmallow Man S'mores. While they toasted the top of it a little bit, the rest of it was cold. They didn't cook, the chocolate wasn't melted, the graham cracker was cold. Super disappointment. I was very, very let down. Now, I just went through Major Sweets. One of my favorite scare zones, I want to say 2 years ago. I think it worked better as a scare zone than a house. That to me was probably the worst house of the night so far. Maybe a 6.5. It was like a factory house. Kids, going crazy on this corrupted candy and sugar, crazy gore. It was a gross out house, right? Guys puking, people's heads explode, and all this crazy stuff. So, it wasn't bad. It was just not as good as it could have been. And again, I think it's just a house that works better as a scare zone, because I think it's more effective when you're able to get the static pieces versus trying to like that face you had in the shaved ice versus trying to bring those characters to life. I was looking forward to that one very much. Kind of a letdown. But we are going to check out the Blumhouse Scare Zone right now. That looks pretty cool. Finally, the smartest thing that they ever did at Halloween Horror Nights is making you walk these crazy lines and then bringing the two houses together so you can come right out of one, then go right into the next one. Genius. For the first time ever, we're always walking a million miles, and they've actually solved that. So well done, Halloween Horror Nights. I'm going to check out both of these right now.
Yeti or not, they come. Yeti can well kill.
Alright guys, so I did the last 4 houses of the night that I haven't covered with you yet, so I gotta go through those. The first one to talk about is Goblin's Feast. It was okay. I thought it'd be one of my least favorite houses. Again, it was this year's version of Dueling Dragons. It was fine. The effects are pretty good. There was some cool audio at the beginning of it. There was this part outside where they're like, "Shut up, meat! You're gonna scare the other cattle," as they're talking to the people, because the goblins are essentially, feasting on the humans. And it was fine. I would say it's probably like a 6 out of 10. It wasn't terrible. It was just their sci-fi house this year, and it was very mediocre. Monsters Eternal, which was the basic gender swap version of the classic Monsters, with a female Van Helsing character going after Dracula's daughter, which actually makes sense. But then you had the Bride of Frankenstein kind of helping her out, and then you had a female Wolfman, female mummies. Again, it was fine. I thought the effects were good. I give it like a 7.5. I usually like the classic Monsters house. I thought this was an interesting twist on it. I just don't know if it was a necessary twist on it. So it was just okay. My favorite house of the night, right up there with A Quiet Place, would have been Scary Cinema 2. Super cheesy, like 10 out of 10, no question. If you love 80s like slashers movies, this is like every other room was a cheesy slasher from like the 80s, like giant set pieces, super goofy. And that museum house was a surprise house of the night. I give it like an 8.5 or a 9. It had the rotting stone, and basically everything was possessed. It gave me, again, it seemed like they used a lot of the lighting features they had last year from what you had with Dueling Dragons. So a lot of that cool light effects, some cool monsters, kind of giving me a vibe of like almost like the monster from A Quiet Place or Demogorgon. The rotting stone was kind of, infesting everything else in the house. So very, very fun. I'd give that one probably a solid 9. I thought it was very good. So houses were very good this year. I have 3 more scare zones I got to go through. We got to find. We have the Duality of Fear, we have the Demon Queen, and then we have a Swamp zone that we haven't hit yet. So I'm going to go through and find those 3. I'm going to try to get back into Bloomhouse too, because apparently there's Megan there, which I didn't see earlier. I do want to try to get a shot of Megan over there, see if she's doing anything crazy. So we'll hit those few houses. We'll go back, maybe get one more thing to eat tonight, and then we'll go through and try to maybe just check out a little of the merch before we head on out.
your screams. You cower and crumble at the feet of the surreal and unusual. Your fears are rather mundane. So interesting indeed. Things of your world compare nothing to the fears of mine. Let me show you what it means to feel pain.
Alright, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I had a ton of fun making it for you. You know, this year was a really good version of Halloween Horror Nights. You know, the last few years I've given it like a 7 or a 7.5. I'm going to come out this year and say the Halloween Horror Nights was an 8 with one big caveat. You know, I did a couple of food reviews for you. The fish and chips were really good. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man S'mores was wildly disappointing because it was undercooked. I also ended up getting a twisted tater with like the seasoning salt, and it was inedible. The person just put so much salt on it. Look, and I'm a salt person. It was inedible. And then I tried the Red Door potato onion pastry because the other tater wasn't great, and that was okay. So I would say the food this year was mediocre from what I tried. So let's talk about our top 3 houses of the night. 2 of them were wild cards that came out of nowhere. So for me, the best house of the night by far was Slaughter Cinema 2, only because it was by far the most fun. Straight 80s cheese. Every other room you went into was a different cheesy horror movie. One thing Halloween Horror Nights did awesome this year was they had giant set pieces, which I thought were incredible. They really went back in and amped up the set pieces, and I'm all in for it. They did a great job. My second best house of the night was A Quiet Place. You know, as I left the house, and you'll see in the review, I thought it was only A Quiet Place 1. I actually thought going in it was going to be A Quiet Place Day 1, but as I was walking through, it was really an amalgamation of 1 and 2, and I put a little note in there. But again, well done. The actors were great in there. Even the people in the queue were like telling you to be quiet. Like it was a very cool vibe. And again, if you heard Halloween Horror Nights the whole time, it wasn't easy to be quiet. The complete surprise house of the night was that museum exhibits house with the rotting stone. Again, man, I'm probably a sucker to some of the special effects and the lighting, and they did an amazing job of taking the lighting from like some of the lighting from Duel and Dragons last year and reincorporating it in, but it looked great. The monster effects were great. The scary factor was really good. So a really good house. Enjoyed that one very much. Let's talk about the bottom 3 houses of the night. And those ones also surprised me a little bit, and one wildly disappointed. And I would actually say probably the worst house of the night to me was probably Major Suites, which was one of the ones I was most looking forward to, only because I loved the Scare Zone. If you saw in the video, I actually threw a picture from a couple of years ago in 2022 with the Scare Zone. It was one of my favorite Scare Zones of the night. A little bit let down by it. The other houses I weren't blown away by were going to be the Ghostbusters house, which again, good. A couple of really cool set pieces. Seeing Ecto-1 like crash into the house, seeing the giant ice ghost, very cool. Overall, though, I just thought it was okay, and then a really abrupt ending, so that was a wee bit of a letdown. And then the Goblin's Feast was a little too goofy and cheesy for me. It just wasn't that fun. Like, it was okay. It was goofy sci-fi fun, but not great. So let's talk about Scare Zones. So, you know, 2 of them were pretty disappointing, and I don't think it did very much. That Swamp Scare Zone wasn't very good. I'm actually drawing a blank. That's how bad the other Scare Zone was. I can't even think of what the name of it was. Like it was, I think it was the Duality of Fear. Was Super Bowl. The Torture Zone Scare Zone was pretty cool. Bloomhouse was pretty cool. But by far the best Scare Zone was that Demon Queen Scare Zone. Was awesome. We also had great merchandise this year. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures in here of some of the stuff we shopped. I'm Hal, Creature from the Black Lagoon nerd. They had an awesome Creature from the Black Lagoon 70th anniversary section. That's going to be my biggest complaint this year, too. Like, why would you not have done on your classic Monsters House Creature from the Black Lagoon, man? It's the 70th anniversary. You have a ton of merch. It clearly sells well. I saw a ton of people with Creature from the Black Lagoon t-shirts on that night. You have an awesome intellectual property. Please do something with it. The other one that blew my mind this year, you also moved a house into the Simpsons area. Why have we never done a Treehouse of Horror Halloween Horror Night Scare Zone? And if you have, I don't know about it, but it should be something that we do. I think Disney owns that property now, but man, what a great partnership that would be if we did something really cool. So let's finish up by talking about Halloween Horror Nights overall. Man, I had an amazing time. I'm going to go to Howl-O-Scream on Friday night, and I am going to compare the two like I've done the last couple of years. It's going to be really hard for Howl-O-Scream to beat Halloween Horror Nights this year. The vibe was really fun. You know what it was? I think because it rained a little bit, it didn't feel as crowded as it felt in the last couple of years. I will tell you, they have amped up the noise level. Like, it is super loud the whole time you were in there, like wildly loud. And you hear in this review, I had an issue with my microphone, so I apologize. So I know the last couple of years I've had my mic. This year I didn't. So I do need to get a new microphone. So I do apologize if it's a little tough to hear. But, overall, it was so much fun. Like I said, I'm going to give it an 8 overall. A little let down by the food, but here's what they did great this year. The houses were well done. They were well themed. The scare zones were fun. They reduced the walking a ton, and I may not have talked about that enough in the video, but man, that is a game changer. Now, that being said, you're going to put in a lot of steps. I did 25,000 steps yesterday. I did over 11 miles, and most of that was me going back and forth to Universal twice. Just walking over because I'm staying at a hotel across the street, and then obviously walking around Halloween Horror Nights. So again, man, great event, so much fun. Thank you for checking us out and checking out the channel. Please go see Halloween Horror Nights. I will do Howl-O-Scream, and then I will also do a review of the two. And depending on the weather, I may do Howl-O-Scream in Busch Gardens, Tampa. So lots of stuff coming up. Please hit that like and subscribe. We appreciate all of you. Throw some comments down below on what your favorite house or favorite scare zone was this year. And we'll talk to everybody soon. And as always, stay scary.